Hi everyone, welcome to our Bible study. Today we are discussing 2 Kings chapter 20. Our PDF is available on the website if you want to download it for yourself. Let's talk first of all, as we always do, about when these events happened historically. So we're talking about the reign of King Hezekiah in Judah. He reigned for 29 years in Judah. His reign probably fits within the window of 730 to about 695 BC. Now, the events that are recorded in 2 Kings 20 are not necessarily chronological to the last chapter. In the last chapter, we discussed God destroying the Assyrian army. An angel went into the camp and killed 185,000 Assyrians and caused the king of Assyria to retreat. The events that we are going to talk about in this chapter appear to predate that event. What suggests that to us is chapter 20 and verse 6. We once again have our expanded map today. We are going to talk about Jerusalem. That's where the capital of Judah was and where Hezekiah was located. We're also going to talk about Babylon, which is somewhat new. Now, Babylon is several hundred miles away to the east, northeast of Judah. You can see it there along the Euphrates River. And we've got three main characters to talk about. First, we have Hezekiah, king of Judah. Second, we have Isaiah. This is Isaiah the prophet. He was God's prophet to Judah during the days of Hezekiah and the kings before him. He's the guy who wrote the book of Isaiah. Then finally, Baladan, the king of Babylon. This chapter is a little bit shorter than the last couple, just 21 verses. In the first section, I have verses 1 through 11. 15 years are added to the life of Hezekiah. So Hezekiah got really sick when he was still somewhat young, and he was actually at the point of death. And in his bed, he wept and he prayed to God to help him recover and to extend his life. Well, God sent Isaiah, the prophet, to Hezekiah, and he told him that he would indeed permit him to recover and that he would add 15 years to his life. When Isaiah told him this, Hezekiah asked Isaiah for a sign from the Lord that he would in fact be healed. Words are one thing, I guess signs are another. And so Isaiah called out to the Lord, and the Lord moved the shadow on the sundial back 10 degrees, or 10 steps, I believe it says, almost as if time was moving backwards. And I should mention that we don't know if this was like a traditional sundial, like one of those you see in like old people's gardens, you know. The instrument isn't specified. It was some kind of tool that they used to measure the shadow of the sun, and it told them what time of day it was, but we don't exactly know what it was. And so that's how Hezekiah gets 15 years added to his life. Let's talk about section number 2 now, verses 12 through 19. A Babylonian envoy visits Jerusalem. So Baladan, who was the king of Babylon, sent his son named Merodach Baladan with an envoy to visit Hezekiah in Jerusalem and to bring him a gift. When the envoy arrived, Hezekiah showed them all of the treasures that he had in his house, all of his armories. The text says that there wasn't anything that he didn't show off to this envoy of Babylon. When Isaiah the prophet learned what Hezekiah had done, he made a prophecy about the future, saying that all of the treasures, all of the armories, all the great possessions of Jerusalem would one day fall into the hands of the Babylonians. They would be captured by the Babylonians. Even some of Hezekiah's own sons would be taken to Babylon, and they would serve as eunuchs, servants in the palace of the king of Babylon. If you know the kind of fate and the future history of Judah, you'll know how this is fulfilled. But it wasn't to take place during Hezekiah's days. This was going to happen after his reign. And then finally, verses 20 through 21, the death of Hezekiah is recorded. Additional details about Hezekiah's life and his reign are recorded in the, quote, Book of the Chronicles of the Kings of Judah. Hezekiah died, and he was replaced by his son Manasseh. Manasseh. We'll talk about him upcoming. So that is 2 Kings chapter 20. For our application section today, we're going to get into a little bit of science. Did you know that the sun is 333,000 times heavier than the earth? You can fit 1.3 million Earths into the volume of the sun. It's interesting to me that God either manipulated the position of the sun or he manipulated the physics of light just so he could give Hezekiah a sign that he was going to recover from his sickness. God could have chosen an easier sign, but instead he chose to manipulate literally the largest thing in our solar system. Did you know that the sun is 99.8% of all mass in our solar system? It's colossal. So when you think about this sign in the story of Hezekiah, let it give you confidence to pray big prayers. Right? God is not limited in any way. He manipulates whatever he wants, and certainly he can answer your prayers for whatever you would like to accomplish in his kingdom, no matter how big or how challenging that may be for us human beings. Also, let the story give you comfort that you're never going to get into a problem, into a predicament that's too big for God to fix. He literally manipulates the largest thing in the solar system to accomplish this one small sign. Whatever trouble you get into, it's not a problem for God.